Hey everyone, it's your favorite girls from the SNS podcast coming back at you with another banger.
Hey guys, my name is Patrice. I am one of your hosts here. You guys can follow me everywhere at Hey Patrice J. You can also purchase my book called All Things Beautiful, and the links will be below.
That's correct. And I am Mélanie. You can follow me everywhere at Dr. Mel Builds. And you can follow me or visit, I should say, my website, drmelbuilds.com.
And you guys keep on emailing us, please. We appreciate it so much at shabbatsundays
at gmail.com. We'll be back.
As you guys know, we have been talking about the conversation of emotions, and today we are actually going to be diving into emotional intelligence, what that means, and how that might look. But before we get into that, I do have an icebreaker for you.
Love the icebreakers.
Okay, so if emotions had a theme song, what would yours be right now?
Oh, shoot. Can you go first?
Okay. Mine would be I'm coming.
Hey.
I'm
coming
out.
Okay.
In my mind, I hear the background.
Coming out.
I want the world to know. Got to let it show.
Yes.
There's a new me coming.
Oh.
And I don't know lyrics. I'm really positive. Like you. Okay, what's yours?
I got one because of what I'm feeling right now.
Okay.
I can see clearly now. The rain is gone. No darkness, only lightness, love. There was a rap part for another one.
Okay, I never heard that one.
The bad feelings have disappeared. There is that rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. Yeah, no, my uncle's a musician. And he gave me a copy of one where they did a remake. And there was a little bit of that rap part. And of course, it was like on a tape, not even a CD. So I don't know where it's at.
Okay.
That's where that came from. So don't be coming for me.
So why was your song?
So I think that's my song because right now, as we're recording this, that is what I feel. I feel so much more clarity in my emotions, in the things that I want out of life, where I'm at, how I'm going to get where I want to be. I'm just feeling a lot more clarity in that. So that's maybe as you were singing, I was thinking like how you're talking about a new you. I was kind of thinking like I have a new mindset. So that's what I came up with.
And for me, I just feel like we love to say this, that it's just true. It's a new season. It's a new season. It's a new dawn. It's a new day.
Fresh
we gotta stop.
Anointing
coming my way. We've sung 4 songs already.
Why'd you do an icebreaker with a song?
Oh my gosh.
You already know. I'll be ready to sing.
Okay, let's move on before they get over us.
Okay, so we haven't done this in a while, but we're going to do it today because we need a definition.
Yeah.
I love starting stuff off with a definition so that everybody's on the same page. It's just the educator in me. It's also the Esau in me, okay? I got to be able to understand what we're talking about. So we're talking about emotional intelligence. And we chose this topic because we do want to wrap up the conversation about emotions. And we're going to bring a few emotions in this discussion today. But we want... At the end of the day, we want everybody, the key takeaway we would want from all the episodes is for people to become emotional intelligent.
Can I pause you really quick?
Intelligent. Yes, ma'am.
I'm so sorry, guys. this is so random, but I just feel like when I don't say it, when you explain, okay, we haven't done this in a really long time, but we're gonna give it a definition. And I like definitions because it's the educator in me, and I'm also. And I just in my mind I pictured, like you're talking to the camera crew. It's gonna be hard. We're gonna keep going. It's gonna be fast. So roll with me. Da 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 da. And I just saw it.
She can see clearly now. The rain.
Oh my gosh! It just felt like you were running something.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a real live moment, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Scoot back over so you're in the frame. Okay. Wow. That was good.
Back to the definition.
Okay, back to the. Harmony ain't gonna know what to do with us. Okay. So I got excited. I moved the whole thing out of the way. Daniel Goleman.
Mm-hmm.
I read a lot of his books, especially during my master's degree. He's just a phenomenal type of work. Really understands emotions, emotional intelligence, just leadership stuff. Just really good resource. Daniel Goleman, here's what he said about emotional intelligence. It is the ability to recognize, understand, and manage our own emotions, and because this is a piece where I think a lot of people are lacking, recognize, understand, and influence the emotions of others. Very, very key. And the reason why I said like he's so good with the leadership stuff, now I'm putting the two together right now, you can't really be a good leader if you're not emotionally intelligent.
Yeah.
Because this says influence, not control, but influence the emotions of others. And when you are, first of all, recognize, understand, and influence. Because if you can't recognize it and understand it, you can't influence it, or you will influence it negatively.
Right.
And so, being that I love leadership, like this is something that, as far as the definition is concerned, I think it's important for us to know and to understand when we are in positions of leadership, whether that is at work or at home or in your sphere of influence, or Bible study, all of those things. It's really important. I think emotional intelligence is an important topic for us to cover because at the end of the day, yeah, yippee, you knew to take deep breaths and you knew how to manage your own emotions, but you're like a jerk to the next person.
Right.
And that's not being emotionally intelligent.
And that's so important, that second half, being able to understand and influence. And what was the other word you said? Recognize first.
Because
so much of our life is interacting with others. So that has to be like an important part of it.
No, absolutely. And the fact that you forgot that word brings me to this point. Recognize the emotion. Do you guys understand? I mean, we're still learning so much about it and we don't fully know what we think we know. But do you understand that autism is a disability for a reason? It is the inability to do this right here.
Oh, wow.
Like that's one of the main things about it. Like there's a lot more, but it is a social disability. And people don't like saying the word disability, unique ability, whatever way you want to put it. We're all disabled in some way. We're all unable to do certain things. And so people with autism, this is a real struggle for them to be able to recognize the emotion of somebody else. They can barely handle the emotion themselves. That's why a lot of the students that I used to work with who have autism, they have an RBT, which is a registered behavior technician, to kind of help them learn and manage their emotions, because before you could, recognize it in somebody else, you do have to recognize it in yourself. So that's key.
Yeah.
That's very key. I did want to point us to some of the different components of emotional intelligence.
Okay.
Because there are a few out there. If you Google it, you'll find some people say there's 4, some will say 5, some they won't be the same 4 or 5. But a brief little list that I'd like to go over, and I want you to kind of tell me what you think about it, is the following, okay? There's self-awareness, self-regulation, social awareness and skills, decision-making and motivation, and then effective communication and relationship skills. All of these things kind of fall under emotional intelligence. So, where do you think you're at when it comes to the level of emotional intelligence? We could maybe do a scale of 1 to 10. Where do you feel that you're at, and what's the area you think you're the strongest in, and which one do you feel like you need more work in?
Oh, wow. Okay, so if we're going to say 1 to 10, I want to say honestly, I'm maybe out of 5. And I say that just because I think there's so much more to learn. So much more to learn, to master, to uncover. And in one of the areas where I would say I score highest, I think it would be, I was going to say social awareness, but it made me, okay, so I'm thinking social awareness because I feel like I'm really good on picking up that somebody might be feeling off, somebody might be feeling like they don't belong, they might be feeling isolated, and like trying to help figure out how to help them feel more a part of the group. But I think social awareness is more than that. So that's what made me pause on that. So then I think then I would say self-regulation techniques.
It's like your highest. So what are some things that you do to self-regulate?
So I will pause. And I think I've become a lot better in letting people know I need a pause. So letting people know, hey, I'm going to step away really quickly, or I'm thinking about something. I need more time to think about this. And in that time, I might just think about it. I might walk away completely and come back to it. One of the things that, for example, at work, when I did work in the hospital, when I got a report from a patient that might be really, really heavy, and I'm like, oh, today's going to be a crazy day, I would always go to the staff closet and like, okay, this is what you're going to do. You're going to start here. You're going to do that. Okay, you could do this. Let's go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Who child I could be a nurse? That's not my calling at all.
Okay, what about you?
What about me? To be honest, and I'm not tooting my own horn, but beep beep. I think I'm pretty up there in emotional intelligence. I think because it's something that I've always been curious about, and I've actually spoken about before. So I'm not gonna go with like a 9 because that'd be a lot, but I would say definitely at least a comfortable 8 on the emotional intelligence scale. And I think that that's because somehow I feel like I'm able to detect other people's emotions much quicker than my own, because I don't have the will. And it's like with somebody else's emotions, I see, maybe because a lot of people I deal with project, and then they make me feel the emotion that they have, and that's how I pick up on it. But I'm just very observant. Also, like I just watch people, and so I can pick up on different emotions fairly quickly. Maybe with my own, it's just a matter of sometimes you just don't want to deal,
right?
Or you don't want to go too deep with yourself. So I've always kind of had that gifting, I guess you could say.
I wonder if there's a quiz you could take somewhere. You know,
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure we should Google one.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Effective communication. I feel like I'm an effective communicator. So I'm thinking about one of the times when I was still at the school, one of my team members, there was something that she was supposed to do and she hadn't done it. And as we were talking, it felt like you could see her trying to like pull away. I think because she might have been a little embarrassed that I had been clear with what I needed and she had not understood or didn't ask a clarifying question or whatever the case may be. So as we talked through it, I asked her, I said, I want to make sure I'm effective in my communication. So this is something that could end up happening again. So I want you to explain to me what went wrong. You know, did you not understand? Did I misspeak? Like, what was it? And then she came to realize, that she needed a little bit of clarification, didn't seek it out. And at the end of the day, come to find out, she had actually done the task that she was supposed to do. Mm-hmm. So I had communicated effectively with her, but she kind of shied away from asking for clarification just to make sure she had done it. So I think for me, that's definitely been a strength, is to be an effective communicator. The downfall to that, though, is when I'm all up in my emotions, like the self-regulation for me is where my weakness is, I would say. So then that makes it hard for me to do my strength, which is to communicate effectively.
Okay. I was kind of thinking, let's give an example of how we might have grown in our emotional intelligence. You kind of talked about that a little bit more, and maybe you have more examples to share.
How I've grown. Well, hate to keep talking about the old job, but it definitely made me grow in that area. It made me realize that the actions that people were performing, what would you say? People perform actions? Presenting? Whatever, y'all know what I mean. The way people was acting, okay? The way people were acting were all coming from a place of an emotional standing that I was able to slowly but surely pick up on and not take offense anymore, and not even fight. Because y'all, it was some situations I just wanted to fight. Like, not physically fight, but I wanted to stand, make a point for myself and stand. And though I would stand firm in what I believe the truth was and whatever the situation was, I didn't try to convince anybody else, because I could see how they were feeling and what they were doing and all these things. And by me doing or responding the way I did, I feel like I did influence emotion, because then all of a sudden people were kind of like, they were different around me. They were different around me. So I think I have grown in the space of maybe influence. I don't think I really influenced people's emotions before. So I think that would be an area in which I grew. What about you?
One of the areas I would say I've grown in, I wonder if there's a name to it. I think, honestly, I would say probably relationship skills and effective communication. It took me a really long time to understand how to conserve relationships right before, they go off the deep side and things like that. And so learning, like, okay, she seems like she might be angry at me here, or even understanding, okay, I feel angry towards her. Why do I feel angry? And, exploring that further. And I think also considering the other person, because it's very easy to consider yourself and how you feel or how you wanted something to come off. And I think it's an extra step to imagine, okay, well, then how might they feel? What might their intentions would have been? Yes, this hurt me, but was it their intention to hurt me? And things like that. So definitely that's an area I've seen in myself. I think also being able to, or becoming more comfortable talking about how I feel, and also comfortable going back, like, okay, looking back 2 days ago when we had a conversation, I was a little bit going back to that wheel. I was feeling this or I was feeling that. And it had nothing to do with you, but it came off, directed towards you because when we spoke and whatever the situation was. So absolutely. And I'm also thinking about, so I lead a small group now at church, or I co-lead it. And I was the main leader this past week. And as we were talking, like in my mind, just looking around, okay, who's engaged, who's not talking, but still engaged, and just might be more shy and might need to ask them a direct question, who's like completely checked out because they're on their phone. And just like, when someone said something, I was like, that might be abrasive to this person because this person just talked, like coming in like, okay, that, I understand what you're saying.
Look at you with your emotional intelligence.
Yeah, so yeah.
I love it. That's so good.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. Like, it's such an important leadership skill. It is. Because people think it's easy to like facilitate a meeting or a Bible study or things like that. It's really not. You're setting the tone, a lot of people say that like a woman is a thermostat in her
Mhm.
home. That's what emotional intelligence is.
Yeah.
That's it. It sets the tone. It sets the culture of whatever you're a part
That's
of.
the influence aspect.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh. What are some areas of emotional intelligence that you guys
Yeah,
would like to learn more about? Remember, they are the ones that we kind of trying to throw out here right now are self-awareness, self-regulation, social awareness and skills, decision making and motivation, effective communication and relational skills. What are some of the ones that you struggle with? We could have another episode where we specifically talk about just one or two of those areas. We don't have a problem doing that. And maybe we could bring on a guest for those.
Okay, good.
That would be fun.
I have an idea actually.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, to talk about decision making and motivation, but maybe that's another episode.
Yeah. I think that's definitely another episode.
Okay.
Because we're going to get real deep in that.
Mhm.
Because I don't know if I talked about it before, but decision fatigue is a real thing.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. Let us know if you want to hear more about it or any of the others. I like that. Yeah, that could definitely be a topic.
Okay, guys, this week we have another dilemma.
Keep them coming.
Yeah, please keep them coming because it's so good. This one says, "Hey, favorite girls and SNS podcast. My name is Walter, and I am becoming a leader in my home church. I think I'll be leading the students and young adult ministry as I am 38 and one of the younger leaders in my church. I'm excited about the opportunity, but honestly, I wanted to lead in a different capacity. I'm not sure how I'm going to do with younger believers, immaturity, and even non-believers. I have been told sometimes I lack patience and I often find self-feeling. I think he means to say I often find myself feeling judgmental and even disgusted with people's choices and behaviors. If I do find myself being instructed to lead in that area, do you have any suggestions on how I can soften my approach and be a good leader to people I don't like?" That's real honest, Walter. That's very honest.
Oh, first of all, Walter, did you know we were going to talk about leadership a little bit and tying this in with emotional intelligence? Oh, wow. Yeah, you have to take the liking the people out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I've led people I don't particularly like.
Yeah.
Liking people is for relationship,
Mm-hmm.
Deep relationship, like breaking bread type relationship. Because the work or a church, that's relationship as well. But you have to remember what the purpose of the relationship is. And then when you remember what the purpose of the relationship is, liking, you realize that liking them has nothing to do with it. You need to like your spouse. You need to like the people you live with. You need to like your friends. But if you're leading someone, you don't have to like them. Just like you don't have to like the person that's leading you. I think when we're talking about leadership, we're talking more so respect. We're talking about effective communication. We're talking about just getting to the point. Let's get this done and that done. And you don't have to get into the he and the ha like she likes to say. You don't have to get into all of that. You just kind of, get to the point. So I think that, first of all, regulate your emotions, right? And figure out maybe there's a reason you don't like the person and try to see, is that something you can kind of almost bypass? Or is it something you need to address? Because one of the things I can't stand that leaders do is have a hard time having courageous conversations. They want to address the whole enchilada when it's that one person that you really need to be talking to.
Yeah.
So that person that you're leading, if you don't quote unquote like them, what is it? Maybe it's not you don't like them. Maybe it's more so they're deceptive, right? And you don't like deception. So then address the deception. Am I making sense? Like address it, because if you're leading somebody in the church and all the things and they being deceptive, well, as a leader, that's something you need to point out. And you have to find a way to do it in the love of Christ.
Yeah. I was going to actually say you don't have to like them, but I do think, especially since it's church, but even if it wasn't church, you have to love them.
Yep.
And I was going to say it's easy to love them. It's not. But you don't have to like them to love them. And I think one of the interesting things is it doesn't necessarily sound like, I wouldn't say, I mean, that's just me assuming anyhow, that you know them, like you're just speculating from what you see of them. And when I led a small group in Georgia, a lot of them were unbelievers. A lot of them were new to the Christ, new to the church, new to the faith. And it was very interesting. I mean, and you talked about like being disgusted with some of their choices. I remember, one girl said, "Yeah, this week I'm gonna fast from having sex." She wasn't married, and getting drunk. And like in my mind, I had to say, that's a good start. That's a good start for somebody who's new to the faith. And in that, to see where they are now, these same people. So you're going to be, I mean, if you let God use you, it's going to be fulfilling. Because if indeed that's where you end up leading, even if you might not want to be there, I mean, I think you're going to grow to love them when you have conversations with them, when you do life with them, however often it is that you lead them. You're going to start to build relationships with them and really get to know them and see them grow. And it's going to be so good.
Yeah. Yeah. And as far as the judgmental part that you were referring to, all you got to do is remember who you are.
Because you ain't no good watching this email.
What? You just got to remember who you are. Like, I say things all the time where I'm like, I'm not judging. And the reason I preface it by saying that is because I'm truly not. I'm pointing out facts, just like I'll point out facts about myself. So if you feel like you're being judgmental, it might be because of the way you're doing or saying things and where your heart position, like what's your heart posture in saying this about that person or feeling this about that person? Is it to help them? Or is it because you're like, ugh, like, is it truly disgust? Because would you want the Lord to look at you with disgust? Because he could. Because we all disgusted.
Yeah.
To him.
We are. Filthy rags. It literally says.
I mean, yeah, that part.
Yeah.
And don't ever think, I think the other thing that we make a mistake with as Christians is we try to compare sin. Like, well, at least I'm not doing that. Like the girl that was having sex, well, at least I'm not having sex outside of marriage. Yeah, but you're watching inappropriate things on TV. So what's the difference? So trying not to compare tit for tat, like your sin is worse than my sin and all of that stuff. And leave that up to the judge. He gonna figure all that out.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay. I just want to kind of tie in how being emotionally intelligent helps us in our spiritual growth. And I think you kind of did it when you said you don't have to like them, but you have to love them. That's an emotionally intelligent thing to say and to grow in, because the Lord calls us to love our enemies.
Yeah.
That's maturity and emotional in spiritual growth. So God gave us our emotions. So being in tune with our emotions, I think, really does help us to grow in our relationship with God and with others in the faith, because then we could be real and honest with God. He already knows, but you might as well, be like, God, I ain't spent time with you all week because, to be honest, I'm kind of mad at you because this, and this. And then that helps you to be transparent with the Lord, and then you grow. The more transparent you are with somebody, the more you grow, right? Because you get to know them. So yeah, you tied that in really well. All right, I am going to share with you all the verse of the day today. But before I do that, the point that I'd like to drive home, that's the new thing, I guess. The point that I'd like to drive home is you can grow in emotional intelligence. It's not an area, in which like where you're at is where kind of like an IQ. An IQ, you don't really like what your IQ is when you're little based on little people stuff. And when you get older, it doesn't really change that much. Like you're not going to gain like 10 points on your IQ. But with emotional intelligence, you can, because it's something that you can learn how to navigate. There's skills. A lot of the emotional intelligence things are skills. It's going to be harder for some than others, but it is something that you can learn. So I encourage you to kind of look into these topics and see where you could maybe read more books or be a part of a community online or whatever. Ask your friends to kind of tell you, hey, how do you think I am in this area? What do I do that affects you in this or in that? And then grow from it and learn from it.
Like most things.
Correct. Our verse of the day is James 1:19, and it says, my dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. And you know what I like about this verse?
What?
It says everyone should. And it's just what I just said. Like, that's something that you can learn to do. You can learn to talk less, listen more.
Yeah.
You know? So I like that. Do we have a challenge for the people this week?
Yeah, I do have a challenge for you guys. So this week, with us talking about emotional intelligence, I think it might be really challenging to journal about it, to journal about your progress, to journal about where you are now, and to slowly see that growth. And for those of you who don't like to journal, make a voice note on your phone.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. You can pray for us, Patrice.
Okay. God, I just thank you for yet another episode, another moment to be able to spend with one another, as well as our viewers. God, I just pray that you would help all of us to grow in the areas you would like us to grow, so that we can be better believers, better friends, better sisters, better and brothers, and better leaders. I pray that you would help us, God, to desire to work life and do life with one another well, that we would please you in this, that you'd be honored, and that your name would be lifted up. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Guys, stay connected with us. If you're not following us on Instagram, please make sure you go follow us on Instagram at Shabbat Sundays. Be a part of our community. We're inviting you guys to talk with us, sip with us, share with us on shabbatsundays@gmail.com.
Yes.
And just stay connected. And as you're connecting with us, make sure you connect with each other.
And
remember to forgive one another and to love one another.
All right, guys. See you all when we see you next.
Yes, and that's that. That's when Mary had a little laugh.
Bye.